Thank you for joining me for this episode. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Harbir Sian, and we're going to be speaking about metrics, meetings, and motivation on the OI show. Here's the tough truth. For every 1 hour we spend with patients, we're stuck doing 2 hours of administrative work, charting, prior authorizations, inbox messaging. And it's not just us. Up to 70% of our team's time is spent on non-clinical work. This isn't why we got into healthcare, and patients feel it too. Many say that they no longer feel truly connected to their providers and the healthcare practices. I've been working with virtual partners for over 10 years, and I can tell you not all virtual staffing companies are created equal. When we found Team, we realized how much better this process could be. Now, we've been working with Team for the last 2 years, and they didn't just find us a name on a resume. They helped us choose the right person, trained them, gave us onboarding system, management tools, and support us to make our virtual team feel like they're really part of our office. Now, our virtual team handles documentation, prior authorizations, billing, patient phone calls, other patient communications, you name it. Our in office team has more energy. Our patients get more face to face time with both my office team as well as me as a provider. And I get to be the kind of doctor that I wanted to be in the first place. If you're ready for a virtual revolution in your office that actually works, and you're looking for a partner that helps you do it right, visit hireteam.com. That's hire, HIRETEEM.com. Big thanks to Team for supporting this podcast. Visit hireteam.com. That's hire, HIRETEEM.com. And thank you to Team for supporting this podcast. Thanks again for joining us for this episode. I am delighted to be joined by you today. How are you, buddy? And welcome to the West Coast time zone, right? We were just talking about that.
I'm very happy to be here, man. I really appreciate the invitation, Dave. And yeah, we were just saying, I love that I finally get to talk to somebody who's on the West Coast. Most of the time I'm recording a podcast, somebody's on the East Coast, or if I, got to set a phone call, I'm gonna do the little bit of math. How many hours ahead is this person? And
Yeah.
finally here we are, just two West Coast guys on the call. I love it.
Yeah, well, we were talking about traveling to meetings and so forth,
Hmm.
and how far the Academy meeting was within Boston. And I kind of do this woe is me because I have the furthest to go for almost any optometry meeting that is on the
Yeah.
East Coast, except you. You and our colleagues in Victoria that have to travel.
That's
So
it.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, the Victoria people
Uh,
got even an extra flight because they got to skip
I
over
know.
from the island.
Yeah. You got a seaplane or something, right?
Exactly.
Congratulations, 200 episodes on the podcast. You've been doing this for a little while. I've also seen number one podcast in Canada. And
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool. So
Thanks, man.
200 episodes. That's a quite the accomplishment.
Thank you. Thank you. It took me a long time. So, the podcast wasn't super consistent in the beginning. 7 years ago, I started it to October 2018. So pre-COVID, I know a lot of people started these sort of hobby things during COVID, understandably. I started it a little bit before, a year and a half before that. And COVID gave me a bit of a reason to actually to do it a bit more frequently. Because initially I was recording it only in person in Vancouver. And then, of course, with COVID, that changed. So then went to more of this kind of thing, recording virtually. But yeah, 200 episodes, 7 years. Loving it, man. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do.
Yeah, it's so cool to get to talk with our colleagues. Um, so we'll hit 200 in 2026.
Amazing.
We'll be where we're
Congratulations.
at. Your episode will be in the 180s. So
Sweet.
it's pretty cool that people keep listening. Honored.
Yeah,
And I think you would probably say the same thing. I learned so much from the podcast. I'm grateful
exactly.
if anybody listens, but I learned so
100%.
much just getting
Yeah,
to chat with our colleagues, right?
that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And,
Yeah.
if you do it for the listeners, if that's why you start, then you're not gonna get very
No.
far. I gotta be honest with you. I made a pact with myself that I didn't think I was gonna make it past 50 episodes, but I decided like don't try it. Try not to look at the metrics. And if you do, just pretend. Just act like you don't care. It's not important for at least 50 episodes. And I'm glad I did that because yeah, like, what how many, I don't even know how many people listen to the first 50, 25 episodes, maybe 10 people per episode on average, who knows?
Your mom and your
Yeah,
dad and your
exactly,
brother and your
exactly.
cousin.
Yeah, but like anything, like you were saying offline, I was really incredible to see how well you've done, and you look amazing, and your healthcare journey and health and wellness journey, you look amazing, and like you said, it's just time, right? Over time, you have to just kind of stick with it. That's kind of the
Yeah.
secret to pretty much anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's periods of time where we invest more in the running of, and the implementing and the refining of. And I
Mm,
wanted to talk with you about that because we were chatting the refining of things. And
yeah.
I have some objectives for 2026. Usually about this time of year, I start thinking about the next year and some things to do refine and how we're going to work on the practice. You have several practices, right? And what's the thought process for the coming year? You wanted to dig in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We have three. Two are sublease practices next door to a lens crafters,
Mhm.
and one is a private practice. So they're very different modalities and how you build them up. Of course, there's a lot of similarities in how you treat patients and patient care and that kind of stuff. But of course, running a sublease practice is not quite as involved as running a private practice and trying to build it up from ground. So, um, two of them are cold starts sublease, and the private practice are cold start. So really, my focus when I was saying that to you, Dave, the big focus is on the private practice. The sublease is like once you get it to a certain point, it's almost self perpetuating, self kind of moving along. As long as you
Mhm.
got a good team, I think that's probably maybe the most important thing. Our office manager is incredible. We basically can hand her the keys and hand her the reins, and we know that she could run things. And we have five associate doctors who are working there most of the time, and then myself and my business partner will pop in. Well, not pop in. We work 1 day a week. We see patients 1 day a week each, and we have our meetings and stuff like that. But the private practice is it's a totally different beast as far as trying to get it off the ground and then trying to elevate from one step to the next. And that's our goal next year is really to refine the processes of having those really regular meetings and delegating tasks and being very clear about objectives and roles in the office and putting more time into leaning into our specialty care. I was saying to you, I love myopia management. I'm passionate about that. We also do quite a lot of dry eye treatment and consultation. So we're trying to lean a bit more into those. And just, that's my number two priority for 2026. Number one is family. Number two is the clinics. Really got to bear down and continue to see the growth there.
What is the ultimate objective? Like when you're saying we want to focus on, focus on, focus on, what is the behavior or what is the outcome that you're trying to see a metric change to?
Okay. I think I'm maybe not answering your question
That's okay.
exactly the way you're asking, but when you asked me the question, that thing that came to mind is like, what is my long term just kind of vision or goal for myself? And that is I want to slowly cut back on patient care days. I still want to see patients, but maybe only a couple of days a week.
Mhm.
And so my business partner and I have the same goal in mind as far as that we're aligned, as well as still continue to try to grow the business. So what we are really trying to do is get the correct systems in place for us to be able to do that and train our staff and do all the other steps that need to be done correctly for us to take a little step back and have the business still continue to grow. And this year we did that a little bit and we saw that the business can still grow even if we're not there as much as we were. And so that's the type of stuff. So, how can we increase this, uptake of certain specialty care? How can we increase the revenue? How do we get our associates on board to buy into these specialty care things that we do? And, the other things we do, for example, for children, we have three levels of eye exam. We have the routine, which is in Canada, it's covered by the government, just a basic child eye exam. The next level up is like a little bit more involved. We do retinal evaluation, or sorry, optomap imaging and stuff like that. And then the third level is what we call our myopia screening. We do axial length and we look at some of those other metrics. And so trying to get our staff, our whole team understanding the benefit of, having patients and parents understand the value of getting that third level and getting more people signing up for that. And of course, that's going to help improve patient care. It's going to improve revenue, all that kind of stuff. So those little things, And if we're able to do those things, then we're able to take a little bit of a step back ourselves.
So, what your interest in the myopia arena and your interest in the dry eye space, is that the same with your partner? Your partner, in agreement and alignment on those things?
Yeah, I would say we are in agreement. I just think I'm more passionate about the myopia management side of things than she is, but we certainly see those as our two main areas of specialty that we can provide. We don't do a lot of this stuff, like we don't do binocular vision, and um, we do a little bit of specialty contact lens, like as far as scleral lenses, but not a ton. We haven't leaned into that a ton. So we are just trying to focus on the ones that we have.
Yeah.
We've invested in the technology and stuff for those two primarily.
Are there a couple of metrics? Because you spoke to, growing, your specialty care, growing the practice, increasing revenue. Are there a couple of metrics that you keep track of across your different practices, to be able to say, hey, this is successful? If you're not there every day, what are some of the things that you're like, hey, we're doing well or we're not doing well because of these certain numbers? Obviously, the money in the bank is a big one, but there could be other numbers that are indicating we're going on the upward trajectory or downward trajectory.
Yeah, I think, to just go back to the example of child eye exams, so keeping track of how many children did the level 2 or level 3 eye exam, understanding, the what obstacles may be in place that are limiting those level 2, level 3 eye exams. And just on that example, so we're obviously keeping track of that based on just how many children we see, how many do this level of eye exam, how many are we recruiting for myopia management, is a big one too, right? So in that case, we have a myopia management program. I think you and I have talked about this before, Dave, maybe offline, but I know different doctors will bill differently for their myopia management. Maybe you have a one global fee for the year, or some will bill per kind of a la
Hmm.
carte based on which test they do or per visit. So we've kind of toyed around with different ideas. We do a per visit fee, but we do have a contract or enrollment letter that we have a parent sign every year, so they kind
Hmm.
of understand we're doing this. This is ongoing. So that type of thing. The other thing that we've just sort of basic, and I'm not a huge metrics guy, so I may not be giving you the details that some people are looking for, but super basic like chair cost and revenue per patient. Honestly, I just kind of look at those simple ones and just make sure we're making money and making a profit, right? And we've made the mistake over the years of seeing patients and not understanding that all these follow-ups or these little minor partial type visits actually are costing us. We're losing money. So making the adjustments on those and adjusting our fees accordingly has been over the last couple of years we've been focusing on.
Yeah, well, I do know that there are people who are metrics people and that their practices suck, right? Because they're really tied into the metric. But there's people who are like, just like you said, I'm not really much of a metrics person, but you just outlined the ones that are important to you, and there doesn't have to be very many. I think revenue per patient or revenue per encounter. I like this revenue per encounter number because our practice is very specialty based. And so
Mm,
we tend to not do as many refractions.
right.
And so some people call it revenue per patient, some people call it revenue per encounter as we're
Can you
counting.
distinguish the two
Yeah.
for me?
So revenue per patient is I saw that patient 7 times, but it counts as one.
Mm,
Revenue per encounter is I saw the patient 7 times, so it
okay.
counts as seven, right? In specialty practices, I think the revenue per encounter is really a better number to be tracking because, say, myopia management, you see a comprehensive eye exam, let's just make up some numbers, and you make $150 from that comprehensive eye exam. In your myopia management, you're making $100 per encounter per
Mm,
se. Well, over the course of the year, it would have been far better for you to have done, comprehensive eye exams only because of where that number of your, myopia management is. So I like to have that revenue per encounter, and then whenever I introduce a new service, I need to make sure that every time I see that patient, my revenue per encounter for that particular service is at least at my average, if not a little bit higher to raise my revenue per encounter. And what I've observed is when we get really busy, our revenue per encounter goes down. And the
Mm,
reason why is I don't think we have the time to spend with people educating them on the importance of going to this higher level retinal exam for a pediatric encounter or going to the myopia screening. Our staff is too busy, so they don't have time to talk about those sort of things. And so
right.
the busyness of a practice can actually be a downfall of your revenue per encounter. You may be
Definitely.
making more money, but you're working really hard to get there. And I
Yep.
think you tied into that because you said that revenue per patient or revenue per encounter is a key metric. It doesn't matter what practice you are in. If you see that number continuing to go up, it also indicates that your patients believe you and they're
Mm,
buying into
so
you,
true.
right?
Yep.
Right.
100%.
So that's kind of an interesting component that you brought that up. And what are some things that you found to be successful in teaching your team? Because in the States, this is a little bit different, but in teaching your team about this pediatric eye exam and how do they sell the other levels?
Yeah, so the teaching the team thing, I will say that is a little more on my business partner than it is on me. But as far as how she does a little bit more of that training and implementing of some of those things. But the simple thing that I will say it comes down to is one change we made a little while back was more consistent, more regular meetings. I wasn't very good at that, to be very transparent about it over the years. But I can't remember how long it's been now, but couple of years, a year, 2,
Hmm.
I don't anyway, but we do weekly meetings. That's kind of the
Yeah.
point I'm trying to get at.
What do those
Uh,
look like?
so we alternate between my business partner and I. She'll do one, I'll do the next, and so on. And we'll just have the whole team sit down. We'll block. So what we did is we made it a priority, and the only way we could make it a priority was we tried to do it. Okay, we'll do it before work or we'll do it after work, and somebody wasn't available or didn't want to come in that day. So we just decided, you know what, we're blocking an hour of patient care every week, and that's just what we're
Hmm.
going to do. And that way everybody's here. And I get it, you lose revenue and whatever, but we actually found we haven't lost revenue because you make it up by A, just being better at everything, and B, because you just realize that you just schedule differently and appropriately, and everything just kind of works out the same anyway. Um, Now I know not everybody's practice will work that way, but that was our way of making sure we just have this meeting. So my office manager went every week, this Wednesday, the next Thursday, and so on, and alternating. She just blocked an hour in the morning, 9 to 10 a.m. And we have that. Everybody knows we have that. Now, my business partner, I will decide what's our kind of our main topic right now of discussion. So for a month, it might have been myopia management and understanding.
Hmm.
Starting this week's meeting is just the basics of understanding what is myopia and myopia management. And the next, why are we trying to, how are we setting our fees and what's the importance of it? What are the outcomes we're looking for? And then the discussion, when do we bring it up? Over the phone, in person, when they check in, during pre-test. We mentioned you just kind of plant these little seeds of, oh, I see your child has a minus prescription. Did you know we offer myopia management? And so having those little touch points and those little discussions, and then when they come out from the exam room, training on what happens when I hand them a prescription for, well, which you guys are going to have now, myopia spectacles. What's the next step in that? What does our optician want to do next? So that's what our trainings would be on. That was that kind of initial series, and then now we'll go back maybe once a month or two, probably every 2 months. We'll just have a meeting where we touch on that again. Okay, how are we doing
Yeah.
on our myopia stuff?
Yeah. Do you, what do you use to kind of help motivate your team? Like, what are some things that, are encouraging them to talk about myopia or talk about the myopia screening versus, the baseline sort of thing?
So we don't do what's the right word I'm looking for? Individual bonuses or incentives.
Mhm.
We do kind of just team stuff, right? So if we
How's
hit
that
this,
work?
well, it's like team dinners or outings, or we do more kind of experiential. We haven't done a lot of financial bonus and benefits for
Uh-huh.
staff. So we'll set a metric and we'll say, okay, if we hit this number, we're going out for a nice dinner. If we hit this metric, we're taking everybody out for a night out in the city, hotel room, the whole thing. So we kind of set like bigger, like experience type of, and we found for team building and culture, those things actually work really well. And we seem to get more response from people versus you get $5 more on your next paycheck or whatever the number might be. Sure, they wouldn't mind the extra few bucks, but we found that experiences seem to be bigger drivers. Like we did
Yeah.
the same for Google reviews. Get us up to this many Google reviews this year, and you'll get this and this and this. And the same goes with these children's eye exams. And we did the same thing when we started doing dry eye. And the person who sort of planted the seed for me was our dry eye rep, like 6 or 7 years ago when we started leaning to dry eye. And she did that. She said, start really small with making sure you do a DEQ 5 for every patient. Like, how simple is that if you're trying to run a dry eye practice or, a dry eye questionnaire? And she did it in the beginning. She kind of like fronted the whole thing. She said, like, okay, if by the next month when I come in, you've done 50 DQ 5s or whatever, I'll buy you guys lunch. And so,
Hmm.
and I learned how well the staff reacted to that. So we just sort of try to implement that when we do actually have a goal that we want to achieve.
What kind of things have you come up with? You mentioned a night out on the town. Like, what are some of the things that people have reacted to? Lunch,
Oh
but
yeah. Well, I
yeah.
mean, lunch is a smaller one, but it's just those types of things. A nice dinner, you pick the restaurant and the restaurants kind of get fancier and fancier each time. But we're trying to plan. The next thing is, um, we kind of want to do this anyway, a little bit of a retreat. So,
Hmm.
um, a little further away where we're gone for a couple of days. But we'll also do, if we hit this target, then we attend our local conference 1 or 2 nights downtown at the conference, which is kind of a win-win for us too, right? We want our staff to attend, but for them, it's like, wow, we get to stay at a nice restaurant and see kind of
Yeah.
how what optometrists are doing. So that kind of thing. We do set that. So it's not an automatic that everyone will go to the conference every year. We'll kind of set these targets. Okay, if we hit this, then so on and so on, how many people can attend. And last year, a couple of years ago, we actually shut the office down on a Saturday. So everybody could go because we did well. So we're
Nice.
willing to get to that level if we do enough.
Yeah. Yeah. What is a target and a goal that you have um, planned that you either have brought your team into or you think you'll bring your team into in the coming quarter, year?
Um, we've done the child eye exams. The Google reviews is easy, but you know how quickly they staff forget to ask it. It's a numbers game. Number of time you ask
Hmm.
people for the reviews, you start, and all of a sudden this year our reviews are like
I
um
saw. They're great.
elevating, elevating. Yeah, well, it's just that simple and weekly. Hey, don't forget reviews. Don't forget that if we get to 200, we get this. If we get to 250, it's this, and so it just reminds them that they keep plugging away. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you, Dave. We don't have. It's just gonna be on the myopia side. I think it's gonna be on ortho
I like
K.
it.
I think.
Yeah.
I think I was just telling you, I'm new to ortho K relatively. Just a couple of years I've been doing it, and I see people like yourself and others who are doing such a great job. And our goal is going to be definitely to increase the number of ortho K patients that we have over the next year for sure.
I love it. Metrics, meeting, and motivation.
Love
Very
that. The three
fancy.
M's.
I love it, buddy. Well, hey, thank you for hanging out with me. I always love hearing perspectives of successful business people and the little things. And I know they're little to you and you think they're little, but it's just the accumulation of these little things that we do that make us unique in our practices and, something to motivate the rest of us on doing something awesome. So
Sure.
appreciate you. Yeah.
My pleasure,
Grateful to
man.
have you
Thanks
on
for
the
having me.
podcast. Yeah,
Thanks, Dave.
absolutely. Myopia management is one of the fastest growing areas in eye care, but it takes the right playbook to make it work. And that's why I work with Treehouse Eyes. They provide the training, ongoing support, marketing, and tools to help independent optometrists succeed. If you're passionate about myopia management, visit growmymyopiapractice.com to learn more. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. I was delighted to have Harbir on with me and speaking about his practices and how well he's doing there. Delighted that you could be joining me as well. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you do me a favor, you could share this podcast with a friend and stay tuned for future episodes of the OI Show.